Keisha, and I'm back here again in my husband Johnny's kitchen. Now we have moved, so it is a little bit different kitchen than what you're used to seeing me in. But I'm back with another quick and easy recipe. For this time of the year, this is perfect. Gonna be a broccoli lasagna soup. So to get us started, gather your ingredients. We're looking at 2 cups of shredded cheese. I've got the mild cheddar shredded cheese here. 2 cups of shredded carrots. Now, I went ahead and purchased these at the grocery store because they're low cost enough. But if you really want to shred the whole carrots, just as good. If you have a garden, you're definitely blessed. So get you those carrots out your garden, shred those up, and get 2 cups of those. Take some broccoli. I've got the fresh broccoli here that I've cut up. You can dice it as small as you'd like. I like to have some significant size pieces. So I've just taken the large pieces and cut them up in smaller pieces. You can see here. And then take about a half of a sweet onion, yellow, or you can use a white onion if you'd like. Dice that up nice and small. And then you have quite a few different options when it comes to the protein. I'm using chicken to add in, but I've taken, to make it quick and easy, the rotisserie chicken that I got at the grocery store, and I've taken the skin off and broke that up myself. So you have plenty of options how to get that chicken or turkey or whatever you choose to use, or maybe you just want to go meatless, but that is one of the ingredients that we're going to put in our chicken lasagna soup today. And then for our base, we're going to get chicken broth. You can go with low sodium. That's what I did, reduced sodium. You'll want about, I would say, 48 ounces or so, depending on how much soup you want to make. And then last, but definitely not least, it's going to be your lasagna. So I've got one 12-ounce box of lasagna. This one is the oven ready lasagna, just because for me, I like that it cooks up a little bit faster, but regular basic old lasagna will work just as quickly. The noodles just take a little bit longer to cook. So once you've got all of those ingredients and you've got them ready to go, got them chopped and separated, we'll come back and I will show you what to do with them next. Now remember, it's going to be quick and it's going to be easy. All right, so to get us started, we go ahead and pick up a Dutch oven here. I've added in some butter, and we're going to put a little olive oil inside, about 2 tablespoons. And our onions that we have chopped up, we're going to add those in as well. So we'll get that in there and get those started. I'm going to add in, you could add in some fresh garlic, but I'm just going to add in some garlic powder. You could even use the paste if you like. And I'm going to add in some pepper as well. I think you can see that going in there. And then I'm going to just add a small amount. Oops, made a little bit of a mess there. I'm adding a small amount of the chicken broth. And right now I still have this on high because I am in fact trying to get it to go ahead and saute up for me. And as it starts to saute, oh, it smells so delicious with the onions and the garlic. We're going to give it a good stir. We're going to add just a little bit more of our chicken broth. And then we also are going to add, I didn't mention this in the ingredients, but we're going to use about 1/4 cup of flour, just white flour. So I'm going to add some of that in here, about half of that. And we're going to mix that around. You'll notice the consistency changes quite quickly. Again, I still have this pretty close to high, and I have that like that on purpose. I'm going to turn it down slightly, going closer to medium. Add a little more of this chicken broth in here. Just going to coat the bottom of my pan. And then we're going to stir some more. And I'm going to add in the rest of my flour here. There we go. Still keeping the temperature slightly high. You can see it kind of simmering around there. Once we get this all mixed in really well, and notice that things will start to stick to your spoon or spatula you could use too. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is turn it down a little bit, down to medium, and we're going to pour in the rest of our chicken broth. Now once you get this chicken broth in here, you're going to let it go ahead and cook with the chicken broth so that you can get it nice and warm. And then we will come back when it's time to start adding in those ingredients. So again, we're just going to let this chicken broth heat up so that we can start adding in our ingredients. About halfway through, I'd say probably in maybe about 5 minutes, you're going to want to give it a nice good stir so that that flour mixture does not stick at the bottom of your pan. And I'll be right back with you. All right, and after about 10 minutes, our pot is smelling delicious. You can see here we've got that chicken broth, and we had started with a little bit of butter, the onion that we had, some garlic, and some pepper for seasoning. Oh, this smells delicious. And we've got that chicken broth for our base. So now that it's starting to bubble a little bit, we're going to go ahead and put our ingredients in. We're going to start with our carrots. So our shredded carrots, we're just going to start dumping some of those in there. And we're going to let them cook down slightly. Let me get those in here. Now it is going to be really full. Now this is not going to be a real liquid soup. This is going to be a thicker soup. So it's nice and hearty, and especially for this time of year now that we're going into the winter. Once we're done with that, we're going to add in our broccoli. And we've got plenty of that. So we're going to get that in there. Now remember, I didn't cut this super small, but you can definitely cut it down a lot smaller if you don't like these bigger chunks of broccoli. Do it what works for you, what suits you. We'll get that in there. And now we'll take our rotisserie chicken. Your pot's going to get pretty full. Now you could use a bigger pot if you'd like to. This is just your basic Dutch oven pot that you would make most, I would say, soups and stews and maybe even some pastas in on your stove. But if you want something bigger, you can definitely grab something larger to use. And then the trick is we take our lasagna noodles, and they come in the long strips, so I've broken them into these smaller pieces, and we're going to stick those in here as well. So if you take those smaller pieces, we're going to drop them in and we will mix them around. Don't drop them on the floor like I just did. But anyways, once we get these all in here and mixed around, then we will definitely come back and show you where we are at. And you're going to let this just boil. So we're just going to let it boil, and we'll put the top on it. I would say when it's about halfway, when your noodles are starting to feel just a little bit soft, then that's when you're going to put your top on there. Medium heat is going to be the best. You don't want to have it too high and you don't want to have it too low. So your medium heat is where you're going to go. And we'll be back with you here shortly. All right, so I've been boiling this for about 15 minutes, and you can see how my noodles have gotten soft. I have it on medium heat. I did have the top on for about 5 minutes just to help speed up the process of softening those noodles. You see everything here that I've put in there, those carrots, that broccoli, that chicken. See it all in there, and oh, it smells so delicious. But now we're going to make it a little bit creamier. So we've got the chicken broth juice there. we're gonna add, and my pot is very full, but I'm gonna add a little bit of milk, or you could even use some heavy cream. Whoops. Too funny. So we're gonna add just some milk. I'm gonna stir that in a little bit here. And I don't have a set amount of milk. So I guess you just have to kind of determine how much you have as far as how much broth you've used and how much soup you're trying to make. But my pot is pretty full, so I would say about a quarter to a half a cup of milk in here. And now we're going to take our cheddar cheese and I'm going to start sprinkling that around. I'm going to cover the top here and I'm going to just let it kind of melt in, but I'm also going to stir it in at the same time. And you could get creative. You could do other kinds of cheeses as well if you want to add more than one type of cheese. Broccoli and lasagna both are things that go with lots and lots of cheese. So whatever works for you works for me. I love cheese, so oh, it smells so delicious. But that milk will just help give it a little bit of a creamy texture, as would heavy cream. So you could use that too. The heavy cream and the cheese and everything for me and for my family is just really, really heavy. Whoops, I made a little spill there. So I'm just using the low-fat milk with my cheese. But we're going to go ahead and finish up doing the same process with the rest of our cheese. And then I will come back with you once I have this all melted in. And once I melt it in, I'm going to put the top on and let it cook down just a little bit more, probably another 10 minutes or so. And then we'll come back and see the finished product. All right, guys, so our soup is finished. You can see how delicious it looks here once I take the lid off. Still a little bit bubbling, but man, it looks so good and creamy. So I'm going to leave that on the stove and we are going to do a little taste test. So let me dish them out and we'll be right back here. All right, so I went ahead and dished out some of our soup and I'm very excited to taste it. So we've got all those vegetables that we put in there, which was the carrots, the onions, and the broccoli. We've got the chicken, the rotisserie chicken we put in there, the cheese, and of course the lasagna noodles. All mixed together, seasoned up with that garlic and that little bit of butter. Oh my goodness, it smells delicious. So let me go ahead and take a taste. This is really good. Super simple. It doesn't take very long to prep. It's not a very expensive recipe and you can do so many substitutions. You gotta love quick and easy. It makes you not mind having to cook dinner, and especially when it's cold outside and it's getting dark earlier, it's much easier to get your family a nice hot meal before it gets too late. So again, this was our broccoli lasagna soup. I'm Lakeisha with What's Next, and I'll see you next time.